PAX 8 Beyond 2026. What an incredible event. Incredible. I believe it's PAX 8's finest. Was there in Salt Lake City, and it was run incredibly well. The keynotes were really, really incredible. Great messaging, great new announcements. The way they handled the media. We had a whole podcasting row and treated us really, really well. Well attended. Thousands of MSPs, thousands of attendees that were just, ready to learn, ready to share, ready to be part of this community. Really great event. They're in Salt Lake City, an unusual location in that I've never been to an event there before, but Salt Lake City did a really good job of hosting it. Beautiful there in the mountains, and absolutely the weather was incredible, although we didn't spend much time outside. But Podcast Row was set up incredibly well too by PAX 8 leadership. Had 15 great conversations. First was with Brent Whitfield from New Charter, of course, from Garage Startup to 8-figure exit lessons for MSP leaders. Great conversation with Brett, great insight. Next was my friend Rob Scott from Monjura, of course. Why AI can't replace human expertise in high stakes decisions. Great conversation with Rob. Rob, so well-rounded. Really enjoyed. It's my second time talking with him on the podcast. Dave Meister from Checkpoint, from Tech Apprentice to Global Cybersecurity Leader. Great conversation with Dave. Really, really cool insight. First time meeting Dave. Oh, and then Kim Simmons. My goodness. Second year talking to her at PAX 8. I'm a big fan of her and her Cloud Contracts 365. How growth mindset and AI are reshaping business success. Wonderful to see Kim. Next, Dan Daniele from CrowdStrike. Had the pleasure of knowing Dan for many years. How AI is changing cybersecurity faster than most businesses realize. Really great conversation with Dan. Always enjoy his time. Ryan Seguin. First time I met Ryan from ScalePad. Really great conversation, really open. Why your best growth opportunity is already in front of you. From PAX 8, next was Ola Wodakowicz. Sorry, Ola, if I mispronounced that. From burnout to balance in a hyper-connected world. First time meeting Ola. Really great conversation. Enjoyed it. Gagan Singh, of course, from Blackpoint, CEO there. The AI revolution, opportunity, risk, and the future of humanity. Great talk with Gagan. I've had the pleasure of talking to him before, not on the podcast, but really, really smart, really insightful. Daniel De La Garza from Kipling Secure. Great conversation with Daniel. There, we're doing a lot of work with Kipling. It was a really great conversation. Thank you, Daniel. Next was Jason Myers from Open Text. AI is powerful, but not as smart as you think. Great conversation with Jason. Joe Levy was next from Sophos. Had so much in common with Joe. We're both from the Northeast, and we were doing very similar things with computing in the 90s, and really great insight from Joe. Thank you very much. Luisa Balanuch. I think I mispronounced that, Luisa. But incredible conversation with Lisa. She's doing great thing with offshore and nearshore hiring, helping MSPs do that. FlexPoint is the name of the company. Ryan Walsh from PAX 8. My friend Ryan, is the second year we've talked on the podcast. Great insight. The time goes by so quickly. Thank you very much, Ryan. Brian O'Shaughnessy, one of my good friends for 15 years, has an MSP, recently merged with a friend, Rob Bruce, who I also talked to. From startup panic to lasting success. Great talking with Brian, great insight. Jessica Davis. My goodness, Jessica, we've known each other for a little while. Great to have you on the podcast. And last was Rob Bruce, the two leadership partners at SkyTide, from Africa to MSP business. Excellent guest. I thank all of you for taking the time to spend with me there at Beyond. And thank you for watching and for listening. Hi, I'm Joey Pinz, and here's my 45-second introduction. After starting my business in the 90s, I started developing poor habits of eating in my diet because of working way too much. Before you know it, I found myself 340 pounds. The doctor told me if I don't lose the weight, I'm not going to see my daughter graduate. Took the next 7 months, lost 130 pounds. People think there's some secret. Ask me, how'd you lose that weight? Like there's some secret. There is no secret. How'd I lose the weight? Just one word, discipline. I've had other successes in life, and I attribute them all to discipline. Now, I'm not the king of discipline, but I believe that it can help all of us. Friends, colleagues convinced me to start a podcast. The podcast mission: how do we better ourselves and society? I talk to interesting people in health, fitness, sport, wellness, business, technology, science, art, and culture. And I eventually ask them how discipline plays a role in their life. Podcast vision: growth through learning from others.
Good stuff.
And so from talking to you, it seems like you're from New Jersey.
Wow, no, I'm from Australia.
You are?
Yeah.
And rugby.
Yes.
Rugby is your main sport.
Rugby is my main sport.
Is it the main sport in Australia?
It's one of the main sports. So there's
What's the biggest sport in Australia?
That could be a controversial question depending on who you ask.
I see.
So it could be Australian rules football, cricket, rugby's right up there.
What makes the most money?
Probably Australian rules football.
In this fast-paced MSP landscape, how do you stay ahead? Introducing MSPinfluencer.com, your ultimate hub for MSP news, insights, and community connection, powered by Forza Dash. More than 75,000 MSPs subscribe to our MSP Influencer Pulse weekly newsletter, staying informed and ahead of industry trends. Tune in to emerging podcasts from Joey Pinz and leading MSP voices, offering essential tips, powerful insights, and success stories. Explore our multi-authored blogs, crafted specifically for MSP leaders, delivering fresh perspectives and actionable strategies. Celebrate excellence with the industry-leading Forza Dash MSP Influencer Awards, recognizing innovation, leadership, and impact in the MSP community. Join thousands of MSP professionals who trust MSPinfluencer.com to grow their business and expand their networks. MSPinfluencer.com, where today's MSP leaders connect, collaborate, and conquer, all powered by the Forza Dash platform, helping MSP vendors work effectively with MSPs and helping MSPs grow.
Australian rules football. And how is Australian rules football different from rugby?
Completely different sports. Honestly, I would compare Australian rules football to ultimate frisbee with your feet.
Whoa. But you're a rugby guy, not Australian.
I'm a rugby guy, that's right.
And why? Why didn't you go with Australian rules football?
Where I grew up. So Australian rule football is primarily, when I was growing up, was more the south. So Melbourne, South Australia, Western Australia. I grew up in Sydney and spent a fair bit of time in Queensland as well, and they're both the primary rugby states.
I see. And your team that you follow, would I know them?
Not a chance.
I see.
Not a chance. The one you would know is Wallabies. That's Australian Rugby Union. So you might know them.
There was an actor who bought a team. One of your big actors.
Yeah, Russell Crowe.
Russell Crowe.
Yeah, so he purchased the South Sydney Rabbitohs. So I don't support the Rabbitohs. My team's about 2 hours further north, the Newcastle Knights. They've been terrible for about 20 years.
Doesn't matter.
This year, not so much.
You're still a fan, though.
I'm still a fan.
And what does the season run? What time of the year?
So it runs in the Australian winter.
Okay.
So in the Australian winter being in the southern hemisphere,
summer here, yeah.
It starts March, goes through final games in October, first weekend of October.
Wow. And one game a week?
Yeah, each team plays once a week, so there's about 26 rounds. Right now there's 18 teams in the competition. I think it's you get 3 bye rounds where you don't have to play. So.
Wow. And did you play?
I played until I was about 19. Then I went away for a couple of years and lived in Southeast Asia, came back and played, tore my ACL, and that was the end of it for me.
It seems like a great sport.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's very fast moving, very brutal. They actually play, so the opening game for the last 3 years, the opening game of the season has been played in Las Vegas.
Wow.
So they're trying to bring it into the American market. And it's very gladiatorial in the way that there's no pads, it's heavy contact, it's very fast, and there's no stoppages.
You can't hit the head, right?
Yeah, that's right. You can't hit the head, but it still happens occasionally.
Of course.
But there's no stoppages. So 2 halves, 40 minutes each, and you just go non-stop for that full 40 minutes. And so one of the reasons it's so entertaining is it's such a fast game because you're not wearing pads.
Right.
But also once fatigue comes into the game, then you've got people making mistakes and decisions when they've been running and getting up off the ground and getting hit for 30 minutes. It gets very entertaining.
Is it free substitution?
No. So you've got 6 players on the bench. You're only allowed to use 4 of them, but a maximum of 8 changes during a game.
Maximum of 8 changes. So soccer has, I think, 5? I'm not sure. So 8 changes. And is it timeout or is it while the play's flowing?
No, play's flowing. So you change people while the play's flowing. You can change during timeout, but usually you'll just do it when you're attacking because you don't want to take somebody out of the defensive line.
In case. Is there a league in the States?
There's a small league in the States. So rugby league, the type that I play, like the Rabbitohs, who Russell Crowe owns, there is a team here in the States, not as big. They get involved a lot with, the game's quite big in the UK as well, and so they've kind of been getting involved in a lot with them here, but I expect it'll be more coming here more and more over the next few years.
It's just a great sport. I can't see why it wouldn't.
Yeah, there's obviously risks associated when where you got people.
It's a contact sport.
It's a contact sport.
Yeah.
The players who play in the forwards, particularly, it's like getting hit by a car a couple of times a game. So there's risks associated.
And that one scrum in the beginning, that's always cool, right?
Yeah. It is.
Everybody kind of bands it because in college it was not a what do they call it, a club sport.
Yes. Yeah.
Where it's just the unofficially the university had teams and they would play each other but I mean they had great parties, I'll tell you that. And the games were fun and they had great parties. So that's what all I remember.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun to play. A lot of fun to play. I mean, if there's some rugby. I live here in Utah now. I'm not from Australia, or I don't live in Australia anymore. And there's some rugby union teams here. I'm not brave enough to play now that I'm into the age that I'm at now.
Yeah, because you've got 3 kids.
That's right.
And you can't get hurt because then you can't come to work and you can't play with them. You do all these hiking, fishing, biking. You do all these activities.
You can't do it. I early on in my career, I worked with a guy who played semi-professional on the weekends. So he would get paid on the weekends if he got called up to play. And whenever he would play, he would either call in sick on Monday or he would barely be able to walk on a Monday.
Right.
So no, you can't work a full-time job and do that. It's crazy.
I was doing some jiu-jitsu and some other things, and I tell you, once it affects and I can't play golf or I can't play tennis, it's just not worth it.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right.
So tell me about other things before you're 18. What were some of your passions back then? Like what got you going out there as a young man in Australia?
So I loved sports. Sports was massive for me. I loved tech from a very, very young age.
What was your first introduction to tech?
So my dad actually ran what was an early stage MSP. So he ran a company. Him and my uncle back in the early 70s worked for New Zealand Telecom. So my dad was, both my parents were born in New Zealand. So they both worked. My uncle and my dad worked for New Zealand Telecom, running big cables for New Zealand Telecom, and both of them then went on to start telecommunications businesses. So phone systems, PBXs, or the early version of PBXs, telephony cabling, which then became data cabling, which then became networks and things like that.
Wow, that's the migration, yeah.
I got a photo of myself from when I was probably about 5 or 6 years old, and my dad and my eldest brother were running some of the first fiber optic cables in the town where we lived. And so my entire life I've been around tech. Both my brothers worked in tech. My oldest brother went on to work as a director of IT for Rio Tinto. My next brother ran his own business in IT, and I worked for the family business in IT, and then it became more managed services. And so I started doing work for my old man in IT when I was about 14 and a half.
Wow.
So I would go into his work after school and I would, pre-wire phone systems. I would start to build some of the PCs and stuff like that. So I loved doing it. I loved working with tech. And so as soon as there was an opportunity for me to do that as a full-time job, I was all in.
Caught the bug.
So at the time in Australia, schooling was a little bit different. So at the time in Australia, you could leave school at the end of year 10, as long as you had a job to go to. So at the end of year 10, I was 15, and the day I got my year 10 certificate, which was the certificate you'd get at the end of year 10, I went and worked for my old man, and the next year I went and got a CCNA and a CCNP when I was about 16, and I did a diploma in IT.
There's Cisco certifications.
Right. That's right. So I lived and breathed tech as much as I could. I remember being 17 or 18 and because I was working for a family business, I was living out of home already. But the vendor, our main phone system vendor at the time, was just starting to step into VoIP systems. And so I remember sitting up late at night working with their R&D team in Taiwan as a 17, 18-year-old, beta testing some of the early SIP protocols, some of the early VoIP PBXs that they were creating. So I loved it.
Around what year is this?
This was probably about 2008.
Wow. Wow, that's really, and now that industry's completely matured by now. It's all we use.
Well, that's exactly right.
And it's ubiquitous.
It's become commoditized. And so what happened for me was that I was so heavily involved in tech. So telephony became VoIP systems, for me became networking. I took a couple of years out when I was about 19, 20, 21 and lived in Southeast Asia. And then when I came back, it became MSPs were a bit more mature, and so I moved into managed networking, which became managed infrastructure, general IT services, and then it's just naturally become cybersecurity, and now moving into AI. So it's just, I've been lucky to, I suppose, ride the wave of the industry over the last kind of 20 years.
So we're here at the big PAX 8 Beyond in Salt Lake City. What are some of your goals this week, Dave?
So we've got an exciting announcement to make this week to the industry. And that's probably one of the big goals and takeaways that I'm looking forward to this week. So we've been here for the last couple of years, and we made little announcements, but I think we've all seen the transition that the market is going towards around AI. And we've seen a lot of vendors talk about using AI in their security. Now that's a given. We've been using AI in our cybersecurity for a long time now. But what's happening is that most MSPs are starting to do AI implementation projects, take their customers on the AI transformation journey. And in my opinion, I think the SMB market's doing it quicker than what the enterprise is, because you can change a business process overnight in SMB, whereas in enterprise it takes months, if not years. So with one of the things we do in Checkpoint is as some of our products become available to the enterprise and get tried and tested, my role is to then bring them into the MSP market.
I see.
So we made a couple of key acquisitions late last year of companies that were securing AI agents and AI usage.
Wow.
And so we've been working for the past couple of months and getting those ready for the MSP market. And so tomorrow, Nick Heddy will announce as a part of his keynote that we are releasing Workforce AI to the MSP market. And that gives you the ability to protect users who are using AI in-device, on desktop, using corporate Copilot, AI usage, as well as govern AI usage as well.
Wow.
And so we're releasing that in a per user per month consumption-based model, no minimum, no lock-ins, as part of a multi-tenanted portal. We believe we're one of the first to the market with actually securing AI agents with MSPs. So we're seeing it a lot in the enterprise, but for the MSP market, we think this is going to be a first. So we're really excited to release it.
How does Checkpoint help MSPs?
So the key ethos of what we're trying to do as a part of our MSP program is we want to take the enterprise grade, government grade, military grade style security that we use, but we want to make it available in a consumable model for the SMB and mid-market. Because one of the mistakes that vendors can sometimes make is that they will, I suppose, dumb down or de-scope their cybersecurity for the SMB market. We're not doing that. We're focusing on delivering that high level of security in an easy-to-use manner. So making it consumption-based, making it no minimums, no lock-in, making sure there's NFRs, making sure that they can run trials, all of those in a multi-tenanted platform. So bringing that high level of security, and we're not doing anything aside from security. We are a pure play cybersecurity vendor, been doing it for 30 plus years now, but we were doing it in a way now that works for MSPs. Because yes, you might get more targeted attacks on a large and well-known enterprise organization, but SMBs still need the same level of security.
Yeah, they do.
Because it's just more opportunistic when it comes to SMBs.
So when an MSP is deciding on which cybersecurity company to partner with, what questions should they be asking?
I think it comes down to what they're trying to achieve. I think there's a danger in just saying, I'm going to go to this one person for my cybersecurity. Because yes, Checkpoint has a cybersecurity platform, but so do many other organizations. And unfortunately, when you say platform, a lot of the times it means I'm very average across a lot of things. And so when it comes to cybersecurity, it shouldn't be a tick box exercise of saying, I just need a cybersecurity vendor to work with. It needs to start with the outcome first that you want. So are you looking at frameworks that you're trying to align to? Is there specific risks that you're seeing inside your organizations or noise that you're hearing from your customers? Start with that and then start to look at which vendors fit into that and then fit your model of working. So for example, if you take one of the reasons I'm so excited about releasing the security for AI this week is that from the MSPs we speak to, there's very few that aren't doing a transformation project for their customers at the moment. But nobody really has an answer of how are we going to do that securely? How are we going to stop prompt injection, shadow AI? How are we going to stop confidential data being put into an AI agent? Things like that. They're hearing that from their customers, they're concerned about that, but right now there's not a solution to that fits the MSP model. So you start with the outcome. In this case, I'm doing AI transformation. I need to secure AI agents in the same way that I secure users. So let's go shortlist who are the companies that can do that. The next step, okay, I'm an MSP. I provide everything on a monthly per user basis. I may have lock-in contracts, I may not. So let's find out which organizations fit that. Then from there you can go into your testing and find out the more details, but you really need to start with what is the outcome I'm trying to achieve, and can I achieve it with a vendor that's going to match the way that I work.
I'm a former MSP, Dave.
So am I.
That's right, we both are. So I started in 93, I sold it in 2019. And so I talk to MSPs in it every day, and generally the three things that keep them up at night have been pretty consistent last 6-7 years. First being cybersecurity. If their clients get attacked, they have to allocate resources, they're going to lose money, they'll probably get fired from the client, they might even get sued. Second is just human capital. How do I keep my people happy? How am I going to get new talent? Unemployment in IT in the States is like 1% or something. Third is just growth. Private equity has poured in hundreds of millions of dollars into the space. How am I going to, my friends are selling their MSPs, have nice cars. How am I going to continue to grow? How does Checkpoint help?
Yeah, absolutely. So for the cybersecurity side of it's fairly easy. And you can just test our products out to see the quality of what it is. And part of the reason we offer it on a per user per month, no minimum, no lock-in, is that every day for us is a renewal.
Wow.
And we have to live up to the quality of the products we're providing. The second thing that you mentioned, though, is around how do I keep my techs happy?
Human capital.
The human capital aspect of it is that you can deliver the best cybersecurity in the world, but if it's not usable and easy to use, easy to consume, or if it takes a lot of time to manage, it's not worth the effort going into it. And so looking at things around, if I'm going to implement a product, how much effort is it to set it up, and how much time is it going to take to manage? And so one of the principles that we've looked at with our development team, because we have a dedicated development team to MSP, is that it's not okay saying this is going to take 10 clicks. The question that comes from myself and from my executive team is, why does it take 10 clicks? So for example, our probably the best known product that we have in the market with MSPs right now is our email security. It was formerly Avanan, and we've got thousands and thousands and thousands of MSPs using it, and we love our partners. When Avanan was starting to become big, the founder of Avanan, Gil Friedrich, who's now the head of the VP of Workspace Security here at Checkpoint, this setup was 10 clicks. And he sat down with a customer one day and said, and they said, we love it. It's only 10 clicks to set up. And his question was, why are we taking 10 clicks? So we were able to drop that down to 6 or 7 clicks. And so we've taken that ethos and that approach with everything that we're doing, that we want to deliver that. So the human capital side of things, we want the admin experience to, first of all, not have to spend a huge amount of time on it. But second of all, if you do, it's intuitive and it's easy to use. So we want to make tech's lives easier. One of the key studies that we lean on when we're working with MSPs, particularly around email security, is to go and evaluate how much time do your techs spend on managing email security. So I'll give you an example of a partner. So we worked with a partner who they were managing about 8,000 users across all of their customers. They were spending about 300 hours a month managing email security.
Wow.
Their help desk was. And they had 2 different products. They had a gateway and then an API solution. So we went in and we said, look, our studies show that your tech time is going to drop by about 70 to 80% by implementing our product. And so I said, go in and try it and put it in play. And we've seen it time and time again that the amount of time spent managing the product comes down that 70, 80, if not more, by putting in a product that's got high efficacy, but is also easy to manage and high accuracy. And so delivering the cybersecurity in a way that's easy for them to manage is really key. The third one then is about the growth and the profitability.
Yes.
Because when you talk about human capital, the other aspect of it is around profitability. So when I talk to MSPs, it's not just about, hey, can my techs be happy? Can I deliver this in a profitable manner? And if I have to go put a cybersecurity product in that I have to spend 300 hours a month managing, that's not going to be profitable. So that third aspect around growth and profitability comes down to, again, how easy is it to set up and manage, but how easy is it to prove the value? So if I'm going to use our email security product again as an example, we've tried to have all of our products set up where they have a free trial on the front end of it. So with our email security, 7 clicks, 30 seconds to deploy, and it's in a monitoring only mode, which means we tell our partners to go out, roll it out to their customers, leave it in play for 14 days in a monitoring mode, and just see what we catch. And in fact, with our MSP partners, we're so confident in that we say to new partners, if you're coming on board, deploy us to yourself or one of your customers, leave us in play for 14 days, and if we don't catch more than their existing solution, we'll give you $10,000.
Wow.
Because we're that, and we've gone through different iterations over the last couple of years. We did an Apple Watch last year. We did a PlayStation this year. My finance team didn't like it, but I decided to up the ante with 10K because we want it to be easy to sell. We understand that MSPs are busy; they're very time poor. So if you can just go deploy something and leave it, there and just show the value to the customer, particularly with something like phishing, which although it may not be the scariest thing, it's the most visible thing. Because I've seen so many MSPs that have come to us because they've lost one of their biggest clients or they're about to lose one of their biggest clients because the CEO got phished. So it's though being able to show the value is really key in being able to help the MSPs grow.
Dave, if we went back 10 years, was there something about 10 years ago that you believed in firmly that you no longer believe?
I think 10 years ago, I think there's certain parts of the market that I didn't think would become as commoditized as they have. So if you think back to what I mentioned about my background,
VoIP.
infrastructure, telephony, internet connectivity, those three things have been highly commoditized.
Yes.
So with telephony as an example, we see now that not everybody has a corporate telephone, they just use their mobile. We see with internet connectivity, it's just expected. It's like your electricity or your plumbing. And then if we look at infrastructure, I spent a lot of my career doing private cloud deployments, working for MSPs that had their own private infrastructure, but more and more we're seeing that it's software as a service. I don't necessarily need servers. Everybody moved to 365. So the commoditization of those three parts of the market, I didn't see coming.
Wow.
And I thought that there was going to be a lot more time to, I suppose, make money and to be deploying services in those areas that have now become commoditized.
A very interesting transition there. Is there a question that you wish more people asked you?
I think from a corporate point of view, I think asking the question, I wish people would ask me more about what's behind the tech. For me, that's really, really important.
What's behind it?
What's behind it?
Behind the 6 clicks.
That's
what's
exactly
happening?
right.
Yeah.
I wish people would ask me more of that question because it's great. I'm in sales now. I used to be an engineer, but I'm in sales now. And so, we've all got great taglines, 7 clicks, 30 seconds. If we don't catch more, I'll give you $10,000. That's fantastic.
Right.
And it's a great way to go out. But it's the actual practical implication of what's going on behind there. Because I think, particularly as MSPs, because most of us have technical backgrounds, understanding the why things are happening and understanding what's happening behind the tech is really important to understand the value of it. So if you look at, again, our 7 clicks, 30 seconds, you ask, why is it 7 clicks, 30 seconds? What's actually happening on the background? We can talk about, our patented ability to do inline API protection. We can talk about the fact that we've automated mail flow rule setups in 365 and things like that, where then it makes more sense to the MSP and to the customer. So going that next level deep rather than just focusing on how friendly are they, the MSP market, is the vendor going to take me out for beers, things like that.
Right.
It actually has an impact.
What if discipline wasn't about punishment, but about unlocking your best self? I spent 2.5 years writing Discipline for Greatness because discipline changed my life. And I know it can change yours too. This isn't theory. Inside, you'll find real, practical steps you can use immediately to focus better, build stronger habits, reduce stress, accomplish your goals, and bring more balance to your life. Whether you're trying to get healthier, improve your career, or simply feel more control, this book gives you the framework. Start today. Grab your copy of Discipline for Greatness at joeypinz.com/book. Thank you.
So I started, as I said, the MSP in the 90s and a little bit older than you, and I was working 14, 16-hour days. You're no stranger to this. And putting exercise and how I'm a soccer player, I'm putting all this in the back seat, just focusing on the business. I'm in front of the doctor, Dave, and she tells me I'm at 340 pounds. So I gained all this terrible amount of weight. And she says to me, if you don't lose this weight, you're not going to see your daughter graduate. My daughter was just born. Scared the life out of me. I'm punching the steering wheel. This is my own pie hole, right? I did this to myself. The decisions I make are much bigger than me now, So next 6-7 months, lost about 120 pounds, kept it off. You got to look at these things as lifelong changes. And so when I tell people this, Dave, they always say, well, what's your secret? What you do? And I say, there's no secret, just discipline, motivation, focus, routine. How does discipline play a role in your life?
It's everything. It's discipline for me is really, really important in almost every aspect of what we're doing. It's interesting you share that story. I've got a very similar story myself. So when I stepped from being an engineer into management, it was around the same time that I got married, and my wife and I went on to have 3 kids in a 4-year period.
Whoa.
And so my wife's absolutely amazing.
Yes, she is.
I was the one that showed all the side effects of it, but she's absolutely amazing. And so I did a similar thing. I'm not sure on the pounds, but I went from about 100 kilos up to about 140 kilos.
Whoa.
And then that particularly got bad during COVID, and then I focused on bringing it down. The discipline of around what you eat, the exercise, your daily routines. Are you meditating? Are you I'm religious, but are you praying? Are you spending time with your children? Are you taking time out for yourself? All of those things lead to success. Success doesn't just happen. And so the same thing from a sales point of view is I say to my team all the time, it's like, what are your daily, weekly, and monthly things that you're doing? Because the effort that you put in today is what's going to pay off in 6 months. Success just doesn't happen overnight. We're now, if I look at our program, we're supporting close to 6,000 MSPs, and I think we're getting close to 70,000 customers under our MSPs. And we were less than 1,000 MSPs 4 years ago.
Amazing.
And so we've had rapid growth. But the impact of what's happening today comes down to the discipline around what were the daily, weekly, and monthly things that we were doing 12 months ago. Because the moment you stop, you lose the momentum.
Wow.
And so discipline in all of the small activities builds the momentum and leads to the success in the end. And then when you get to that stage and look back, that's when you feel it. So although we go back to my personal story, I shared with you that I left high school when I was about 15.
That's right.
In the end of year 10. Now, I have an MBA now.
Wow.
I ended up going to university, but I ended up doing that at night, part-time. I actually was writing my thesis, which was on managed cybersecurity services, at the height of COVID when we were in lockdown in Australia. My wife and I had a 6-month-old baby, plus the other 2.
Australia was tough with COVID.
It was a very heavy lockdown.
Yes.
And so I remember I didn't have a home office at the time set up, so I was working out of my garage because I set up a temporary office in my garage during COVID. And I was sitting in my garage and I was working from, 7, 8 a.m. to 5 or 6 p.m. working at the MSP. Then we'd go put the kids to bed, and then I would either come online again at 9 p.m. for a couple of hours to work on my thesis, or I'm an early riser, and so I would get up on the weekends at 3 or 4 in the morning and put a couple of hours in. But that had to be a consistent, repeatable effort to be able to achieve that outcome. And so I was able to finish it, but again, consistent, repeatable, disciplined effort. It sucked getting up at that time.
Yeah.
It absolutely sucked, but the reward's there now. Like if I hadn't have done that, I may not have stepped into the VP role that I'm in now at Checkpoint. When I first stepped into this role, I was doing it from Australia, so I was working very early hours again and spending a lot of time on an aeroplane. But if I hadn't have put that regular, consistent, repeatable effort in, we may not now be in the States.
Wow.
So it's that consistent, repeatable efforts. It's not necessarily the go big or go home. It's the small, consistent, again and again efforts. When I was in Southeast Asia, I spent 2 years in Southeast Asia when I was 19. I spent a lot of the time on the island of Borneo, and I learned how to speak Malay. So I was actually in the jungle. I was doing volunteer work.
Wow.
And they had a saying there in Malay, which was "Sikit sikit lama lama menjadi bukit," and what it translates to is "little long long becomes a hill." And the principle behind it is that the small and consistent efforts eventually become bigger efforts, eventually is the thing that creates the hill.
Wow.
And that, for me, is something that I've always tried to take into everything that I'm doing. Again, consistent, repeatable, that's where the success is going to come from.
Good for you. What motivates you, Dave?
I like to win.
Yeah, do you?
You're
competitive?
I'm very competitive. You should ask my biggest competitor who's actually here at this conference.
Want to show your love for discipline, inspiration, and the Joey Pinz podcast? Now's your chance. Introducing the brand new Joey Pinz merch store, where style meets discipline. Choose from premium apparel, cozy hoodies, stylish hats, durable bags, and your new favorite coffee mug, all featuring the iconic Joey Pinz logo. Perfect for podcast fans, discipline enthusiasts, or as unique gifts for friends and family. Every purchase supports the Joey Pinz Discipline Conversations podcast, helping us continue to inspire greatness and promote positive change. Visit joeypins.com/store today and wear your discipline proudly. Joey Pinz merch. Wear it, share it, and live it.
Prince.
Interesting. Do you have older brothers?
I do. So I'm the second youngest of 9 children.
Oh my goodness.
So
well, there's the competitiveness then.
Yes. So I've got 2 older brothers, 5 older sisters.
Wow.
And then a younger sister. So, and because both my brothers and my dad and my uncle all work in tech, it was always, we had to take our different routes, and I always want to win. Now, with saying that, there's the morality of how you win,
of course,
which is really important to me, and the impact that it has on people.
Yes.
But if I'm going to do something, I'm going to win at it, no matter what. And so I remember when I joined Avanan or Checkpoint just after the acquisition of Avanan, and they hired me out of an MSP to start the Asia Pacific region, and I did that for about 9 months. And while I was doing end-user sales, I was doing SE work because I didn't have an SE at the time, and I was running the MSP
System
program.
engineer.
Yeah, I was doing a bit of everything. And then an opportunity came up to run the global MSP team, and I put my hand up for it. And I remember sitting down with with Gil Friedrich, who was the founder of Avanan, and I said to him, Gil, we probably had, in the MSP side of things, we probably had 5-ish million of revenue at the time. It wasn't that much. And I said, Gil, I think we can turn this into a $100 million program. And he sat back and he was thinking, he's like, you know what, I think we can as well. And so I'm very competitive, and I'm competitive not just about beating and being the best, but at being the best that I can be, but also achieving things that other people may not see. So for me, the motivation around what we've been doing at Checkpoint has been, Checkpoint was seen as a legacy firewall enterprise brand. And so when I came in and had an opportunity to lead the strategy and the vision of what we were going to be, I'm like, I can change this. I can turn this great cybersecurity into something that's consumable for MSPs, and I'm going to do it in a way that others aren't doing it.
Wow.
And so we've got an offsite after PAX 8 Beyond. I've got a lot of my leadership team here, and one of the questions I've asked them to prepare for our leadership offsite is they all need to present to me, what are you and your team doing that your competitors can't do, won't do, or aren't doing?
Wow.
And because that's the principle we took. It's that challenger mentality. Like, for example, one of the first things I did when I took over the program was we changed our NFR policy.
Not for resale.
Not for resale, that's exactly right. Internal use. So MSPs can use the product themselves, which is really important. MSPs want to feel comfortable with it and experience it. So
once the MSP buys in, it's easy for them to sell. Eat their own dog food.
Exactly.
Yes.
That's exactly right. So I've always had this approach of, I will do something that other people aren't willing to do. And so at the time we had an NFR process where you could get up to 10 NFRs as an MSP.
Licenses.
But, yeah, that's exactly right. So up to 10 users for email security. So then our biggest competitor at the time had 50. So I'm like, okay, fine, we're going to do 100. And so then I went back to our finance team and to our executive team, and I'm like, guys, here are the top 3 changes I'm making. Number 1, we're increasing all the NFRs to 100. And I was able to show the return on it. But again, there was no, I'm going to work inside this box. It's like, I'm going to change the playing field to be a field that I want to play on, and I'm going to play by the rules that I'm going to set. No one's going to determine that around me.
So given your motivation, Dave, of winning, how do you measure success?
I look at probably 3 things. Obviously, being in sales and being responsible for sales, the actual growth side of it is really important. What percentage growth year over year? What is our, how many partners are growing versus retracting and things like that. But that is one aspect of it. The other aspect of it is, how happy are my staff and how happy are my partners? Because if my partners aren't screaming from the rooftop of how much they love the product or the program, then I'm not doing something right. Something needs to change.
Wow.
There's no point in us having growth if they're not loving what's going on at the time. Because in this industry, we've got a strong culture in this industry, and the best way to grow as a vendor is to deliver a program that meets the MSPs where they are and gives them an amazing experience. And so if they're not experiencing that, then they're going to start telling MSPs that. On the flip side, if they are experiencing it, they're going to tell them that. So I know for a number of years, and I don't know if it's the same now, but for our first couple of years, the majority of our inbound leads to our website came because people were reading Reddit threads about MSPs talking about us. And we still get a fair few through, but we've actually increased marketing in some other areas, so it's just been evened out a little bit. But that finger on the pulse of the industry is really important to me. Because if we start feeling like we're out of date, we're old, we're not matching the industry where it stands, something needs to change. And look, to be honest, there's been times where I've started to feel that, and we've made decisions to address that. Is that, some examples. We went in late last year, we implemented a new partner experience team because we started to get some word from some of our partners that support wasn't quite what it used to be. So we implemented a partner experience team. We separated the support team to be dedicated just to MSPs. When it came to the development of our product and our MSP platform, when the partners started feeding back that things weren't moving quick enough, we separated out the R&D team and product management just to be dedicated to MSPs. And that's where my role really comes in, because I'm the business unit owner inside of Checkpoint. When that feedback starts coming back to me, I'll go have the fight, I'll go have the negotiations to go make those changes. And so those three things around growth, my staff's experience, and the pulse on the industry and what the partners are experiencing, they're the three things that I measure the success by.
Dave Meister, absolute pleasure meeting and talking to you today. Anybody watching or listening, how can they get in touch with you?
So you can jump onto the Checkpoint MSP website. Otherwise, I love being out in the industry. Hit me up on LinkedIn. If you're a partner, hit me up on LinkedIn, send me a message. I'm happy to chat. I love MSPs. I love hearing what people are doing in their business, because we can do a whole lot of things here at Checkpoint, but it's all getting fueled by what the partners are saying. So I want to hear as much as I can.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you, Dave.
Thank you for listening and or viewing Joey Pinz Discipline Conversations. Please share this episode with one or two of your friends who you think may benefit from the episode. Our website, www.joeypinz.com. There you'll find lots of resources, and you could join our mailing list. Please follow us on all our social media, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Podcast information, the video version of our podcast is on YouTube. Please subscribe. Audio is on all major podcasting platforms. Please follow them. And if you like it, please consider giving 5-star rating. Would really appreciate that. Thank you again for listening or watching Joey Pinz Discipline Conversations.